camera down and I will show you what we're going to do. When Andrea was talking about the anthropology theme, we were talking about a lot of, oh, hey, I can see the picture. Look at that. We were talking about all the different variations that might take, and one of them that came up was like world travel. And I thought it'd be really, really fun to do a little box that's shaped like a suitcase. So that's what I've got here for you. And this box actually does open up. There's these little ribbon ties here. And my hands are freezing right now, so just bear with me while I get this open so you can see that it really does open. There we go. So those ties, you can see it's got the little handle on top so you can carry it like a suitcase. And then it really does open up kind of like a little vintage suitcase. And I don't really have anything inside right now because I wanted you to be able to see. But you could, you know, totally line this if you wanted to with some really pretty fabrics or something. I found these little mini tour tickets that I thought would be cute, and I thought, you know, if I've got some images here that if I reduce the size of them, there's like a little passport and stuff like that I thought would be really neat glued on the inside. And the reason why I made it this size was because you can take a gift card, and a gift card will fit perfectly in there, so it's a nice way of presenting a little gift card, but it will also hold some things like, you know, like Hershey's Kisses and the little mini chocolate bars and stuff like that. So it's a really neat way of presenting a little gift. So to get started, I will tell you that, yes, I made the box, Cindy, and I made it myself doing my little patterns on my graph paper, as some of you have seen me do before. But I also went online and I found a link where she actually has a pattern for a little suitcase template too. So there, I just put the link in for that. So if you don't want to make your own pattern, you can go there. I find it really easy to make these little boxes anyway, and I also wanted to be sure that it was exactly the right size because I wanted to be sure it would accommodate the gift card and some stuff like that. The basics, if you want to make it yourself, let me just fold in all the sides on both these pieces just so you can see. Normally when I make some of these little boxes, I make the bottom and the lid, like I make the lid just a teeny bit bigger than the bottom so that it will nest on top and be a nice snug fit. But because of the design of the suitcase, you just want them to meet. You don't want them to nest like that. So this time I've made the dimensions of the top and the bottom exactly the same, except for the sides of them. As you can see, the bottom of the suitcase I made deeper, and I made the lid a little bit shallower. So that's the only difference on there. And if you use that template that I put up there, that's pretty much how she does it as well. So you'll be able to do exactly the same kind of thing. So those are my patterns, and I just any kind of cardboard that you can fold well enough into the box. I did use cardstock on this one. I had some brown cardstock laying around, so I did use that. This is a file folder that I just cut. I had an old file folder that was no good anymore, so I just took the good pieces out of it and cut out my template out of that, my box pieces out of that. So anything like that will work. You know, cereal boxes and stuff like that, as long as, you know, some of those boxes are a little bit thick. So as long as they're thin enough. Now, with this one, because it was already brown, I skipped the first step that I'm going to show you. But if you're using anything that isn't already sort of a dark color, I'm trying to mimic sort of like a textured vintage leather look on here. So you really do want it to look dark. So what I did with what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color them first. And I've got just a brown stamp pad, and so I just, you know, I just went over it randomly and got some color on there with some of the brown. Actually, I'm going to do it this way so I can really get some color on there. Okay, so I got some color on there like that. I've got this one, which is the Tim Holtz Distress ink, and it's in the brushed corduroy, and I really liked using some of that on here as well, just to add kind of another shade of the brown. And you don't need to get it on the flaps that are going to get folded inside unless you want to. You just need to make sure you've got it on, you know, the bottom part of each piece and then the sides of each piece. I'm not covering it totally just because I don't want to take up the time with you watching me do that. And then I really liked, along with some shades of brown, I really liked using some orange in there. Because I found that really added some of the depth of color that really took on that kind of leathery appearance. And then the other color I really liked was some kind of a yellow. And yes, this really is, it's been colored over a bit, but it really is kind of a golden yellow underneath. So I built up some layers on there. And then the next thing I did was I took my trusty Liquitex Matte Gel Medium and I covered over that, and then I took just plain old white tissue paper, which my camera doesn't like, and I crumpled it up because you really want all of those like wrinkles and crinkles in there, because that's really going to get the look of the leather. And then I put that onto my box. Okay, now normally I would let this dry before I go on. It doesn't take a really long time, but I would let it dry a bit before I moved on to the next step, because the next step is to do the same thing over again, because you really, really want to build up those layers to get depth into that leather look. So I'm taking my stamp pads again, and I'm stamping over the top of the tissue paper, and you can see like it's really, really starting to look kind of leathery now. Okay, and I did the same with all the same colors that I used before on the underneath part. And so if you've got any showing from underneath, you know, this helps to kind of really make sure that everything is really covered and is really getting the depth of that leather and showing a lot of the texture. So the same 4 colors that I did with that. The next thing I would do this both on the top and bottom and let those dry, and then I'm going to go around and I'm going to trim all of that off. Okay? So I'm going to end up with this that's covered, you know, just like my little suitcase is covered with the tissue paper and covered with all of the colors of the inks and all of that. And then I'm going to assemble my box. So it's really simple. There's just, as you can see on here, just folding in. And right on that template pattern that I gave you, they give you all the fold lines and the cut lines. So it's just a matter of folding in and making 2 little snips so that you have these tabs to fold in. Okay? And then we go and we start assembling it. Now, I'm not sure, Andrea, I was wondering whether you want me to keep going and do the rest of it, or whether you want to go and do something else, and then I'll come back and show you. Okay. I can come back to it and show you exactly how to put it together if you need me to, or I can just basically show you on this one. So once I've covered everything and I've assembled it, I'm just using some kind of double-sided tape. Just anything will work. That red super tacky tape works really well for assembling the box, I find. So that's a really great way of putting it all together. This one, I don't even know. This is some kind of Canadian brand. I have no idea what it is, but it's just a double-sided tape. Any of that kind of stuff. That's any kind of double-sided tape will hold this together. Or you can use just a plain old white glue and assemble both of your pieces together. And then the part that I really want to show you is right here inside the box. All that is a piece of a brown paper bag. So I've just taken just plain old brown paper bag, and I cut myself a little slip of it to fit between the two boxes. So you don't want it to be really, really deep. You want it to fit nicely in there. It can be a little bit shorter, but it's going to bridge that gap and make your hinge. Ribbon works as well. A little strip of fabric works as well. You could put scrapbooking paper if you've got some pretty paper that you want to highlight inside the box, anything like that. I wanted it to be something brown that would kind of blend on the inside of my box. So I just, again, used some of my Liquitex gel medium, and I glued that in there. And I left it shut for a little while so that that could dry a bit. And then you just want to kind of open and close it, give a couple little creases along there to get that hinge working really nicely. Final steps, once you've got that done, is you can see I've got some pieces of narrow ribbon, and all I've done is wrapped them right around the box and left enough at the top that I can tie them into the little bow ties. I punched holes in the bottom of the box, and all I did for that was use a needle, and I just threaded my ribbon right onto the needle and then just used my needle to punch the hole as I went and sewed the little handle on there. Just, I don't know if you can make it out or not, but there's just little knots on the inside to hold that in place. And then I found these really great images. It's by Paper Journeys. It's a paper collection, and it's got all kinds of really great travel images. So lots of what looks like little stickers on vintage suitcases, things that look like old letters and postage stamps and things like that. And one of the things that I saw inside this, I mean, first of all, they have these images of vintage suitcases, which I thought were pretty cool. But the other thing I thought that would add a really nice touch were these little things that look like the tags on the suitcase. I thought that would be really, really adorable to make as the tag on the gift box. Make a luggage tag that looks something like that, and put that on there as well as your little gift tag. So, where did I get the paper? You're right, it was not dollar store. I believe I've had it actually for several years, and I'm pretty sure I got it online. And just give me a minute and I can probably tell you where I got it from, but the name is escaping me right now. So I'll go look on my Facebook, and I think I can find it there, and then I'll share with you the name of where I got this particular pad of images. But go to Graphics Fairy or someplace like that, and I have seen similar images there as well that you could use too. So that's it. If there's any other questions, I will be glad to share them in the chat room for you. Thanks, Andrea.